Hello and welcome to the AFL High Performance Podcast. Today is a solo episode. I'm your host. My name is Jack McLean, and I will be talking to you about everything you need to know to maximise your chance of getting drafted in this year's 2025 AFL draft. I've worked over 6 years at AFL clubs and constantly eager in trying to find out information for you, the listeners, about how to give yourself your best chance at the combine and give you practical tips, real tips that is going to give you your best chance, but also not put you at risk for either injury where you can't compete at all or do a disservice to your playing performance for this current season. Now, it is middle of June of this year, so if you haven't started working already on your combine, now's a good time to just jump back on the horse. If you're only training 2 times a week and game day, you're putting yourself at a bit of a disservice at the end of the year because there's not a lot of time from when your season finishes typically at under 18 level to then the combine. So you don't want to play catch up. So you can start chipping away now and it will pay dividends to you. So then when you do put in a little bit of a training block at the back end of the year, you're able to really optimize what you get out of that 4 to 6 week, or some of you might have 8 weeks if you don't play finals preparation period. Whereas if you're just focusing on only football training at the moment, it's going to take you're going to be uphill and really challenged to be able to make a significant change coming into the combine at the end of the year. Number one, in saying that, your weekly performance is, of course, the most important test, and you don't want to sacrifice preparing for a 20-meter sprint, beep test, yo-yo test, 2K time trial, jump for your game day performance. So we need the best chance of getting drafted is playing the highest level of football you possibly can and playing your best football. Secondary to that, we want to test well. So how do we test well? These are 4 tips I've got. So as we know, when you're 18, you're still developing from an athlete point of view. So let's not worry too much about muscle bulk. All the tests in the combine are power to weight ratio or endurance. So it's not advantageous to have 5 extra kilos of weight on you for the test. So stay. Just had a call coming in. Yes, stay at an optimal weight that allows you to play your best footy on a weekly basis, but also keep your weight at that throughout the year. You don't want you to get too carried away in the weight room and putting on all this size, and it's going to negatively affect your ability to jump as high as possibly can, sprint, and with the endurance test. In saying that, the more force that you can generate, the better you'll be at those tests, not just for the strength and power tests, but also the endurance. You'll be able to spend less time on the ground and be more efficient with your running. So how heavy you can lift with good form matters. An example of a workout would be just simply doing 5 sets of 3, working up to a heavy, so step load, working up to a heavy 3. And you might do that 2 days after a game or 3 days after a game. And that's not going to take away from your upcoming game day performance because you're still playing in 4 days' time. So you'll be fully recovered by then. You could do the same for bench press. Although it's not upper body strength testing in the combine, your ability to generate maximal force and recruit those muscle fibers is going to help for all those explosive tasks like the jump and the sprint and the agility test. So strength training is important. Aerobic capacity is important. And we know with aerobic capacity, when done with the right amount of volume, it can facilitate recovery. So doing that early in the week as well, 2 days after a game, 3 days after a game is a good idea. So we want to make sure that we can get that work in. Your 2K time trial, your maximal aerobic speed may not be relevant this time of the year because you probably didn't test that since February. So you could work off your 2K time trial, but I'm guessing that that's not going to be that relevant. So you could just work off subjective scale. But when we're doing our aerobic work, it needs to be under our threshold. So if you're pushing yourself at a really high heart rate, you're probably not developing your aerobic capacity. So aerobic capacity, like strength, that's the foundation of your aerobic athlete development for these tests, and we want to make sure we're stimulating that every week leading up to the combine. So then when you are working more on your threshold running, you've got a good base. And when you're working on that repeat speed and your ability to be able to hold on to a faster pace and go from a 6-minute 32K to a sub-6, we know that repeat speed is important with that and that threshold pace. But to be able to handle those training sessions, those high intensity sessions in September, you need to be able to have a good base. So doing an aerobic session every week is helpful. Tip number 3, you want to train your acceleration once a week, your first 3 steps, but also your max velocity. A lot of your field-based athletes get to that max velocity around 30 or 40 meters. So we know in that 20-meter test, although you're not going to reach top speed, you probably get to close to 90% of your top speed. So we need to train your acceleration qualities, which were that shin and trunk angle, knowing that that's our compass. So make sure that they're parallel with your mechanics to be able to generate maximum horizontal force into the ground. We need to be able to also generate vertical force with our max velocity work. So typically up the 10 to 15 to 20 meter mark, you're going to start getting really upright, and we need to be attacking the ground with our max velocity postures. So working on max velocity once a week is really important. These 2 qualities will aid in performance on a weekly basis. So there's little, when you're done right, there's little fatigue into the system. They should excite the nervous system. So you could do that on your -2 training session, your main training session, or you could even do some max velocity acceleration work the day before a game, and it won't take away from your game day performance. So a good example of how you could work on that, let's say on your -2 training session, you focus on acceleration and you do 3 to 5 reps with a band around the hips or chain resisted, and you contrast that with an unweighted, i.e. you go with band resistance for 10 meters with heavy resistance. So naturally it's a bit slower, but to make sure the mechanics look the same, then you take the band off and you get that contrast effect. So you should feel a bit more explosive through that, generating more muscle fibers for the band resistance. So you're working on that speed and velocity with the unresisted work, and you're working on your acceleration strength with the resisted work. Make sure the mechanics look the same and keep that focus of shin and trunk angle parallel, positive shin angle, roughly 45 degrees. Then the day before, you could work on some flying sprints. So 20 to 30 meter build, and then holding that speed for 20 to 30 meters, where you're holding your intensity of around 85 to 95% speed. And you might only need 2 to 3 reps of that. Good quality, have a good few minutes rest in between with a walk back recovery. And that's all you need. You're doing that once a week, every week. And there's strong, potent stimulus. You'll be able to work on your speed, which no doubt will help your performance on game day, but also come the combine where you might up your frequency from once a week of those 2 qualities to twice a week, 2 acceleration and 2 max velocity sessions. Before every running session, you might run 4 times a week. You do a speed focus to warm yourself up and get you ready, but also to work on that quality. If you've got good mechanics and good efficiency through focusing on those in season, and you've built up a good tolerance, come the off season, you'll be able to really develop those 2 qualities. Number 4, practice each test 1 to 2 times, not in season, but in when the season is finished. So you're really clear in your pacing strategy on game day. This is critical. Sometimes the difference between performing well on your combine day is just simply your strategy. You don't get, if you've practiced enough and you know exactly what you're going to do, particularly with the endurance event, you're not going to get carried away with trying to compete with and run outside of your capacity. You're going to stick to your strategy, and that will give you your best chance to perform at your potential. Whereas if you have no idea with the plan, you get caught up in the event and you might just go out the gate and run someone else's race and blow up, and then that can significantly affect your ability to perform. So make sure you really practice the endurance test, and you've got a clear pacing strategy. As for the explosive tests, pacing's not so much the case because it's a maximal effort, but you want to practice the technique, especially with the jumps and the sprints, exactly the surface, replicate that, practice the shoes you're going to wear, practice even your fueling strategy on the day, have an idea of what time you're going to do each race, and replicate that a week out. So you've got a good idea of what that's going to feel like and what your fueling strategy is going to be like throughout the day. And then if you're listening to this and it's a couple of weeks out or a week out from the combine, and you're looking now, you've done all the work, and now you're looking to optimize your performance and make them most of the hard work that you've done on the day. Relax. That's critical. We know that we're going to perform. You typically perform your best when you're not overthinking it. So relax, have fun with your peers, have a bit of banter in between tests, and then when it's your time to focus, dial in, know exactly your strategy, and put your best foot forward and give it your best effort, and you'll have no regrets. Little things go a long way. So make sure you're extra prepared with meals. Overpack your food, overpack hydration, overpack extra stock, and have an extra spare pair of shoes to know that no matter what is thrown at you, maybe it might rain in the morning and your shoes get all soggy in your new pair for the sprints, for example. So prepare, over prepare, and then on the day you can relax. You know all the hard work's done and you've got everything you need. Hopefully this helps your combine prep. If you want some assistance and you want an AFL strength and conditioning coach in your corner to help with individualize your strategy, individualize your programming, and give you a customized program, we have our individualized coaching package that is available. We've got 3 spots available. So if you're interested in filling in one of those spots, you can jump on a free call in the link in the show notes, and we can just have a discovery call and see if we'd be a good fit for you. That program includes everything you need, just like an AFL player. So conditioning plans, recovery plans, lifestyle tips around sleep, stress, and nutrition strategies, as well as, of course, strength and power programming. So if that interests you, or if you're a parent listening and you think your kid would thrive in that program, we'd love to have a chat. Jump on our calendar link, which you can find on our website at preparelikeapro.com. And I look forward to chatting with you about how we can help your son or daughter maximize their drafting chances. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.